5 seconds. I hit record. I hit record, and then you... Do you wait? Do you know that I'm about to hit record, and you just sit watching patiently until the moment I hit the button, and then you donate? That is not... Oh, Jesus Christ. Not this crap again. Really? Really? Well, no. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of good fixes for that because it has to do with how the game is coded. Okay, so, also the game's interface kind of sucks, but see, here's the funny thing. And I could prove it because I just did. You notice how I Alt-Tab and the moment I do it becomes smooth? Because the moment I tab back to it, this happens. But the moment I Alt-Tab, it goes back to being smooth. It's only when it's the active window, because it was programmed by monkeys, apparently. This is becoming an insanely common. Like, this is becoming more common. We keep running into this issue. Hi, welcome to Troubleshooting. I'm keeping this in the VOD, too. Screw this game. Is it still? Yep, it's still. Okay, we're still in a cutscene. We're still in a cutscene. Hang on, so let's skip all the cutscenes. Just nobody cares about story. Nobody cares. The best part is it's silence. It goes silent when I Alt-Tab. So that just makes more cutscenes. More cutscenes. Yep. We're just gonna do this. Okay, now I got a loading screen. Hey, look! When it's on a loading screen, it doesn't do it. Look. I can move. I can move. You're joking. Why would that fix it? Why would that fix it? I did that basically as a joke. Like, I started off like, oh, this would be funny. And then I started doing the actual tech test I wanted to do, and I noticed it was running fine, and I was like, wait, what? Would anyone like to guess what apparently fixed it? I'm not even sure why it fixed it. Turning it off and on again didn't do anything, no. Capping the frame rate? Nope, already did that. Coffee? Nope. I didn't spill any... First of all, I don't have any coffee. Second of all, I didn't spill any over it. Switch from headphones to surround? Nope. Hitting the computer? No, I would never hit my computer. Progressive maintenance is a joke, not something I actually do. Changing OPS output to analog output? Nope. Swearing? Don't really swear all that much. Sacrifice to the Chaos Gods? Why would I ever follow Chaos Gods? I am as orderly as it gets. Turning off VSync? Nope. I am amused that this is such a dumb answer, that nobody's guessed it yet. Turn off Steam overlay. No, it's been off for years at this point. Because of streaming, actually. Changing the ratio? Nope. Putting the controller in? Nope. Changing visuals to max? They already were. I think. I'm not sure what they are right now. Oh, they're at low now. Here, let's turn them back up to max. There we go. Okay, visuals at max, as we were talking about. Putting the controller out? Nope. Using an older, not updated version of the game? Nope. I'm really curious if anyone can figure full screen it. Nope. Oh my god. Hang on. Someone go, like, Barry Ross and donuts for me, please. Leaving a negative Steam review. We already said the gamepad didn't do it. Turning the PC on and off. Nope. Didn't restart the PC. Didn't verify any files. Didn't switch monitors. We actually tried that earlier. Deleting G-Shade. And that's it. That's it. It was totally... No, we didn't delete G-Shade. Changing the sound output. Nope. It's the dumbest thing. I literally did it as a joke. Like I mentally had the thought of, ha ha, might as well do this before I start actually looking into the problem. I ran OBS as an admin. Yeah, that shouldn't do anything. Actually, that's not quite true. If you run something as admin, it does access certain parts of the GPU that otherwise doesn't, which I suppose is what's going on here. But what's really, really, really strange is I am the admin account. I should never have... Something was changed somewhere. And I mean this. Something was changed somewhere to prevent... Because what should be happening, and I used to have this setup was that everything I ran was run as admin, because I am on the admin account for my computer. So the fact that I have to run as admin as the admin should not be a thing. That should not be anything. That should have nothing. That should never be something I have to do. So I'd have to figure out somewhere, and I'm going to make a note of this right now so I don't forget. Figure out why I have to run as admin as the admin account.
Ha! Deluded zealots.
Your Imperium shall burn!
Cowards and weaklings.
Oh, what's that term in XCOM?
Advancing into cover.
Skitter? Is that what it was called?
Punish that craven fool.
It's the thing where the moment they're spotted, or I guess they spot you, they get a free turn. You know, it's the thing we just saw. In other words. Okay, it is scatter then. I like skitter better. Yeah, I noticed too. You'll notice I haven't given any pluses for the intro.
Just wait.
Which I know, and there's Overwatch. Oh, that's interesting. We can actually see the Overwatch zone.
Here's a good spot.
I mentioned the intro thing because for those of you who've actually watched our Warhammer Space Marine review, you know that I gave that intro several positives because it was freaking amazing. Whereas this one is, I believe the current common terminology is mid. Right? It's not that great, not that bad. It's just there. That's a good question, Michael. We'll check when we're out of the tutorial. All right, so what are you doing? You are... Right. I can only go to the one spot.
By your command.
Deploy your frag grenade, brother.
And I can only do the one thing. And I can only put it the one spot.
We are hammer.
Deliver the Emperor.
Like, okay. In the interest of total honesty. Oh, my neck. There are certain games that are just very obtuse by their very nature that require a excessive hand-holdy kind of a tutorial. That's true. There are some games, spreadsheet games is what my friends usually call them, that require that kind of tutorial. This is not one of them. This is a turn-based, grid-based, tactical game. It's actually fairly intuitive. There's a grid, it's turn-based, you've got AP, you use the AP. Everything's right there in the interface. You can see where you can move. There's the 1 AP movement. There's the 2 AP movement. There's the 3 AP movement. Immediate. Don't need anything. Just moving the mouse around. I immediately understand how that works. Right? I've played these kind of games before. But still. God, I literally can't do anything. I have to do this. Oh, you want me to ignore oppies. So apparently oppies are a thing, by the way. That's actually important to know. Oppies refers to attacks of opportunity. The specific and exact words of what an oppie are vary, even within Dungeons & Dragons. But the core idea of an oppie is simple. You get an attack of opportunity when an opponent does something, usually walking through you, or by you, or away from you, or if like they cast while you're in melee range, you get a chance to smack them while they're trying to cast. Stuff like that, right? Okay, so where's my willpower? Okay, so I have 12 willpower. I'm not super impressed with this interface, going back to what I was telling Jay Palmer a second ago. Not super impressed with this interface. Like, at a glance is something I talk about a lot when it comes to interface design. I want to be able to glance at the screen and see the stuff I need to see most immediate. The stuff that is the most apparent. So at a glance right now, I can see my health and my movement, and that's good, but not much else. I have to actually go searching for a moment to find my specific HP, my WP, mana, and my AP. My AP should be a lot more obvious than it is right now. Someone tell me how much AP I have right now. Now, 1 is correct. 1 of 3. It's that dinky little thing right over there. That should not be like that. The color distinction is wrong. The positioning is wrong. It should be like front and center, like right. Can you see my mouse? Is it capturing my mouse? It is capturing my mouse. It should be front and center right here. This should be your AP indicator because it's critical. It has to be something that you're always thinking about, right? Oh my God, we got a notification of a donation. Holy crap, we fixed 2 things today. Yeah, look at Warhammer Mechanicus. Look at Divinity Original Sin 2 for interface design when it comes to this kind of turn-based, grid-based game. So you can also have it on top of the soldier. Right now we just have the health bar up there. Having a number there to indicate AP, also something that's valid. That would be funny, Mike Kamano, but I don't think that actually did it. So, the number under my party, so I don't know, Jay Palmer. I'm actually not sure. Anyways, yeah, so let's use our casting ability, because it's forcing me to.
Hinder us no longer.
What? What? Oh, okay, sorry. So, let's talk about another problem with interface design. Properly scaling to different resolutions. Okay? And by resolutions, what I actually mean is ratios. We're in 4:3 right now because that's optimal for streaming. But you'll notice part of the interface is literally just off the screen. This is weirdly common with modern games. Older games don't have this trouble, funnily enough. But more modern games tend to not understand this. This and the font scaling have been the bane of my existence for so many years now. I'm being ratioed. Anyway, I should say thank you to Warp Core. Thank you, Warp Core. Okay, this has already irritated me. Sometimes when I get the confirmation screen, I can tap a space. Nice, simple, efficient. That allows me to confirm it. Sometimes I can't. I don't know if that's the tutorial or not.
Excellent. I will move on ahead.
See, that's the other thing. Forced tutorials are... It's a gradient, right? It's not automatically just a binary good, bad thing. But a forced tutorial is a little bit more tolerable if they do a forced tutorial to get the basics across and then let you just kind of play the rest of the mission, right? So, picture for a moment that we have a forced tutorial up until we encounter the boss. Then the game's like, alright, now you know how the interface works. Figure it out. Instead, we are still in forced tutorial land.
Flank that demon and fire at will.
But remember, the Baleful Edict is my chief concern. Be careful with this ship.
We sail for Titan on your word, Commander.
So, question, why is the frickin' Tech Priest the best character in this game so far? Yeah, I hate to keep ragging on the UI, but I'm just overly not impressed. I've said this so many times. Strategy games live and breathe on their interface. Yes, obviously there's other aspects to it, but you need to make the game smooth and fluid to play so the player is focusing almost entirely on the tactics and the strategy, not, oh god, where's the whatcha-fig? Here's the pause button. Here's the exit button. I like the name of this thing. You can pay money for a skipping tutorial DLC. I haven't seen that yet. I bet we will someday. I've seen so many ridiculous DLC ideas. Yeah, someday someone's gonna do that. I am currently still sick, but I was tired of not streaming. And I came back to this. Skippable cutscenes DLC. Oh god, don't give them ideas. I like the scars.
Thank the God Emperor I found you.
I don't like how she walks.
Commandeer this vessel at once.
Impossible. We are bound for Titan. The edict cries out for repair.
The tech priest speaks the truth, Inquisitor. Our last crusade bled us dry.
I'm not blind, Knight. But heresy...
What's with her animations?
My destination is Koromar Prime, within this very system. Not such a taxing journey, I'd expect. Yes. Good. That will do.
Look at her eyebrows. Watch her eyebrows next time she animates. Like, something is wrong with this woman. It's like watching a shapeshifter who's heard of human beings, but isn't really familiar with it.
Corruption sites detected.
Oh my god, I'm still in tutorial land. Oh my god! Okay. So, you know what it reminded me of? Because as I was watching her animate, I'm like, oh my god, I've seen this before. And I was searching my memory. Oh, by the way, I love the giant gaping hole. And there's another one down here. Anyways, I was searching my memory. It's Fable, exactly. It's Fable. Picture, for those of you who actually played it, picture Fable and how they're animated there. Because it's so ludicrously over-exaggerated. Like, I physically cannot move the way they move in Fable, because that's not how people work. And also, like, the eyebrows thing. Like, one of her eyebrows shoots up to here, and then back down, and it's like, huh? Okay, she's walking better, but now she's, like, shuffling her feet.
I must commend you on this impressive archive of demonic lore, Commander. It rivals some I've seen in inquisitorial fortresses. I will require it as a base of operations for my studies. I respect your authority in matters of combat.
Watch her eyebrows. Just watch her eyebrows.
Some solution to this plague. I am, of course, open to recommendations on which lines of study you feel would best serve the mission. I must insist, however, on beginning my research with a necropsy of the Poxwalker carcass your brothers recovered. I am certain they hold a key to understanding this corruption.
Okay, I really don't like to complain about something like camera usage and blocking. But you notice how every time the camera angle changed, there was a moment where she had to adjust her look. So she was once again looking at the camera. So, why that? Like, like, I'm sorry, that's just such a very strange movement, very strange thing. But whatever, research menu. There is no game. In the grim dark of the future, there is no game. There is only tutorial. So no, we're not fighting corn because we're not surrounded by skulls, we're surrounded by rot. Cool. So, credit where credit is due, I do actually like the visuals of these screens. And not from a gameplay perspective. From a story perspective. there's some decent detail on display here, and some actual work has been put into, and thought has been put into making each of these areas look reasonably distinct. We've got the god shafts, or whatever they're called, going on, and we've got the multiple people helping over here. We've got the candles, tons of books, little displays, actual color contrast, you know, some cool stuff here, right? Same here. We've got this is a bit of the teal and the orange problem, but teal, orange. You notice there's no candles here. Bunch of skulls. Gotta have the skulls. There's a skull, there's a skull, there's a skull. But we also have the slow march of the gears in the background, you know? Just kind of adding a little bit to the mechanical feel of the Factorum here. Manufactorum, excuse me. And of course, the bridge, it's actually got some crew in the background just kind of busying themselves about whatever they're doing and blah, blah, blah. I like it. I like it. So credit where credit is due. We've got some cool visuals here. We've also got
Ready ourselves for the trials to come.
a tutorial. We also can see the timeline both in what's the next thing and what's all the things. It's way too late at this point, Savacom. We are so deep into tutorial land. We have been drowning in tutorial land. I think we are officially out of it. Knock on wood. I don't have any actual wood here. Oh, no, I do. Knock on wood. Tutorial chaos. God. Ah! Okay.
Die!
I mean, everything I've heard about Engage is that the gameplay is pretty good, and the story is terrible. In fact, I bet you I could tell you the story of Engage right now off the top of my head without having seen any of it. You ready for it? There's an evil dragon and an evil empire the evil dragon is backing, and the good nation is trying to push back against the evil empire and then the evil dragon. Am I right?
This cathedral was home to the heretic Nulinius, though his cult was marked for purging over 300 years ago.
Time, or perhaps something else, seems to have done the deed for you, Knight.
No matter what foul ground our enemy chooses to sow his seeds, we will cleanse it.
So I hope you're paying attention for that, Evo. Okay. Because this is the main visual aesthetic for the actual combat. Painted plastic. Because, you know, miniatures, right? It's probably the visual style I enjoy the most so far. Yeah, Batman's just gonna kill people straight up. Because he doesn't kill them personally, he kills them with hospital bills. The silent killer, right there. Now that sounds like a joke. Think about it for a second. It's not for lunch. What did I eat for lunch? I had 3 eggs and some Greek yogurt. I like Greek yogurt. Plain, of course, with no sugar and no flavoring. You're probably thinking, that's terrible. I actually eat a lot of things plain. You know how I like my oats? Plain. You know how I like my cereal? Plain shredded wheat. You know how I like my women? No, that's... Sorry. Thank you, Caspian. In a plastic cup. Okay, see, that's what we call a referential... a 3-dot connection referential joke. No one's gonna get it. But that's okay. That's not the point. The point is that it's funny to the one person who gets that. Listen, someone's got to be bait, Savacom, okay? I'm just saying. Someone's got to kick the door down. Metaphorically and literally.
Moving now.
I said whatever.
Preserve us!
Let's see what this does.
As you command.
It does that. Seriously, can we have an Imperial Guard game? Because that just sounds awesome. Do you like fire? Do you like lots of fire? Me too. Yeah, Dead Space 2. There's another cheesy game. In a good way, obviously. Yeah, I recommend the Dead Space 2 run. That was a good run.
Standing ready.
Legitimately. I was quite pleased with that one. I would not call Portal 1 or 2 cheesy, no. They're also more horrifying than horror games, like Dead Space 2. Unrelated, but still true. I absolutely think the Switch 2 is coming out. By the way, I'm legitimate, here, I'll make a highlight reel, okay? For the highlight. I legitimately think that the Switch 2 is either going to be announced this year or substantially more likely is coming out this year. The most likely target windows are for fall or Christmas. I'm not going to go into all the reasons I think that, but let's just say that I did a little bit of a dive into release patterns, financial reports, and COVID, along with manufacturing side of things and the chip shortage problem, and I actually think that with very high certainty at this point. It would legitimately shock me if the Switch 2 did not come out this year. I'm also deliberately taking my lowest level people to each mission, because duh, right? Maybe I should stop doing that, because I think it was Golvig mentioned yesterday that we can eventually recruit people better than our existing people, and maybe the game wants me to do that. So let me explain what I mean by that. Over in XCOM and a lot of similar games like that, you want to keep all your people relatively leveled. Like Final Fantasy Tactics is another example of that. You don't want someone to fall behind, because if they do, there will be a critical tipping point where they will never catch up, because they can't, right? They're just so underleveled they can't even gain any experience anymore. So you want to keep everyone leveled relatively equally, so you always bring your lowest level people. It's a pretty standard approach. But if this game has a mechanic, which I haven't seen yet, of course, of churning existing people and turning them into better people, maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe I should be focusing on a core team of 4 who I'm always pushing to be the highest end. That may be my biggest problem right there. So, I hate to continue to complain about this game's terrible interface. So here's the... this is something that didn't even occur to me until literally just now. I look at that side cannon, I'm like, okay, so it's got +1 ammo and +1 damage over my previous side cannon, right? No, there's no comparison. There's nothing that's actually comparing this to my existing gear. So unless I happen to have my existing gear memorized, I have no way of telling if that's good, bad, or in between. Like, even in addition to the ability, like, at least give me an ability to look at my existing armory over here, right? Like, what are my current side cannons? What are my current, what are these, 4 swords? Instead, what I have is, here's the stats of the new gear. End statement. The upgrade thing is something that can eventually be upgraded once we unlock the upgrade mechanic, which we haven't yet. So what, I'm gonna buy all of these. Okay, that sucks. So 2 critical wounds. Not great. Not a lot of experience either, because we effectively only fought 1 pack of enemies. Well, you'll notice we still, at this moment, do not have the ability to look at current stats. What we have to do in order to look at our current stats of our gear is go here, go to the barracks, or actually, I guess we can go to the armory. Never mind. We cannot go to the armory. We go here, go to the barracks, select somebody, go to loadout, go to ranged weapon, get a character who can actually use a ranged weapon. Okay, loadout, ranged weapon, side cannon, and now we can actually look at our existing side cannons and decide, you know, how good the one is we just got. Sure hope you memorized the one you just picked up, because nothing indicates the one you just looted. So, for example, now that I have all this stuff, I can look and say, this is not an upgrade at all. In fact, it's actually a demonstrable downgrade until I upgrade it and gain these additional bonus things, which of course I can't yet, so instead, it's a flat downgrade. So I think I know how these work, and it's fairly basic. You can pick a side, which gives you a detriment, no matter what side you pick, or you could spend a resource to not get a detriment. I've seen this kind of thing before in, what are those called? Escalation board games, I think is what that's called. You've probably played one, right? It's a board game where things are bad and get worse at an escalating scale, and the whole point is to either win or stay ahead of the tide for as long as you can before you're eventually overwhelmed, because you will be overwhelmed at one point or another, right? So, we'll burn a resource, because I don't want detriments right now.
Those seeds are essential for my research. My reports should be sufficient.
Excellent idea, Commander. Perhaps a hard sample of this novel corruption will spark the Grand Master's interest and support. I will prepare the necessary wards. so that the seed can be transported safely.
Unfortunately, that came with a detriment. So that's cool. So, speaking of Warcraft 3 for a second, let's go back to that. So, Warcraft 3, you might think, I mean, Reforged is just a... You might think Reforged is just a graphic pack, right? It's just a visual overlay. It doesn't change anything, right? Wrong. Because that's the funny thing. You know how... Let me use a specific example. In Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, certain different versions of the game calculate movement differently. Now, if you're just sitting down to play Sonic 3, you'll never notice that. It doesn't matter. But if you know Sonic, if you're really good at the game, or you're speedrunning it, or you're tassing it, or you're doing a challenge run, or you're doing a review, those little differences, those unique detailed changes matter, right? So Reforged actually changed quite a few little things, tiny little things, specific triggers on maps, or the way it calculates certain damage types, or the way it calculates spread on some of the spells and their AoE and their targeting and so forth and so on. So Warcraft 3 Reforged did a lot of little changes, and most of them make the game worse, my opinion. It's the kind of stuff that, again, most people probably would never even notice unless you already knew the game pre-existing. But knowing the game, it's like, oh, God. And especially in a strategy game, that does tend to matter. Those specific variances change how the game plays. So it would fundamentally change the review, which is why I would rather not review Reforged if given a choice. Now, thankfully, it is possible to play Warcraft 3. You just have to know what you're doing to be able to play Warcraft 3. So I can do that. We can do that if Warcraft 3 is around. Sorry for the long answer. I just wanted to go into that a little bit. No, I agree, Kara White Noise. The more I play this, the more I'm feeling like these people have played XCOM and don't understand why XCOM is designed the way it is. And I don't actually mean that as an insult, as weird as that sounds. What I mean is that I see that a lot, where people will emulate something without understanding why it does something, and so the result is just worse. It doesn't work as well, specifically because they don't understand why things are, how the pieces connect. And so they just say, okay, well, there has to be a piece here. And it's like, yeah, it's bullet point syndrome. It is straight up bullet point syndrome. Having said that, Mechanicus's biggest flaw is it was too long. It didn't have the variety of mission design it needed to justify its length. However, that's one of the only actual complaints I can level at Mechanicus right off the top of my head, because it kind of nailed everything else. The strategic layers of Mechanicus were actually surprisingly inspired for how relatively simple they were. It was a very, very basic risk-reward, explore, maybe get good, maybe not. And it also rewarded you for paying attention because there were patterns as you explored the tombs. The combat itself was, of course, fantastic, and it still has one of the best AP's the wrong word, action economies I've ever seen in a tactical game. Just absolutely phenomenal. Wonderful movement tech, wonderful flow of how the game rewarded you for doing things by allowing you to do other things. We call those momentum mechanics, right? The example I always like to go through for that is Doom 4. In Doom 4, you kill something with X, which allows you to do Y, which allows you to do Z, which allows you to do X. It keeps you rolling, right? It keeps the momentum going. Damn, that sucks. So Mechanicus is going to need an audit at some point. But yeah, Mechanicus had mechanics built into it to allow you to keep it rolling, to keep it going. And it really rewarded you for thinking your way through an encounter. It was awesome. So, what I'm trying to say is that Mechanicus stomps this game into the ground, at least on a gameplay and a story axis, as opposed to the invisible axis? I don't know. Anyways, if Blood Bowl 40k was a thing, which team would I play? The Orcs! That's a team, right? I know sports, shut up. I do sports things. Yeah, no, Phoenix Point is probably the game for hardcore XCOM fans, to being honest. That's them spawning more minions, if you were wondering. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I don't mean to sound complainy, but have you noticed how every unit, including my own, but also the enemies, can ignore terrain? Like that?
I see why.
They can go up or down, pretty much whatever. There's very few things, like you need the bottomless pits for the terrain to actually matter. And I bring that up because it actually reduces the amount of tactical options that exist here. Like, for example, I'm in a trench. I should have several options in order to try and trench up, right? Because if you think about it, there's really should be only 3 ingress points right now. One should be covered by that ramp over there. One should be the obvious point for the trench, and then, you know, the other ramp over here. Yes, I know there's this ramp too, but this ramp is covered by this. You can only get up through this one ramp, right? So if I can cover that ramp, nobody can get up top. But instead, they can just go wherever, and that's why I'm literally surrounded in a trench. This is not the first time I've had that problem. It's just, it's really frustrating on this map, because for all intents and purposes, I might as well be on a flat terrain right now. Oh my god. Oh my god. I want you to do me a favor. I hate to continue to make fun of this game's awful UI. But tell me right now, look at the screen, take your time. How much ammo do I have on that character? Now, I technically already gave it away. But point to me on the screen where it says I have 0 ammo. Because I have 0 right now. I'll just give that away. Far left, good guess. Completely wrong. Tiny number next to the portrait, still a good guess. Still wrong. I'm just going to give this away. Nothing on the screen indicates my ammo. You know how I see my ammo? I have to specifically mouse over the shot ability. And you notice in the lower left, it changes that 4th slot to my current ammo counter. Because for some reason, they had to, and this has been bothering me for a while now, they only show 4 things in the lower left at any given point in time. So, for some reason, like ammo and whatever that is, I forget what that is, but like it doesn't show that unless you're specifically activating an action. So rather than having like multiple additional slots to show each of those things, it's context sensitive. Ah, okay. Yeah, see, this is the thing. This is something I shouldn't have to say. I love XCOM games. I adore XCOM games. This is one of my bags. Grid-based, turn-based, tactical strategy is freaking awesome. It's one of my favorite genres. There's a reason I gush about XCOM 2 so damn much, despite its flaws, right? There's a reason I've tried so many games of this genre over so many years. But I shouldn't have to say that I like good games of that genre. I shouldn't have to add that proviso. The older I get, the more I notice that I have to add that proviso, that I really wish I had such and such of such and such game, you know, such and such genre of such and such franchise. I shouldn't have to add, and it's also good. I already called this a 9 to 5 game. I think I stand by that. This is a game that was put together by people who are like, eh. Okay, gameplay-wise, it's mid to quite. The story's... yeah, the story's not great. Debating the Tech Marine, though, because that is a level 3 Tech Marine. It sure would be nice to know what level Von Falkenstein is. You know, now that he probably leveled after that. Wow. Like, you should have leveled, but you notice... so, let's talk about stack. I've actually noticed stack is important in this game, because there's our turn, and then there's the enemy's turn, but there's actually certain events that hit at certain layers of the stack, right? So, here's the deal. Stack is how you determine what happens when, and it's important for when you get into the nitty-gritty of certain types of tactics or strategies. I take the term from Magic the Gathering. I don't know if they came up with the term, but I don't care. So this happens, then this happens, then this happens, then this happens, right? Now, the reason I'm mentioning this right now is because you gained experience in that mission, Von Falkenstein. I mean, everybody does, even if you go down, but you stayed up, and you got several kills. So you should gain experience, but you haven't gotten experience yet. Did you notice that? If I go to swap you, you're level 1 right now, because we haven't hit that part of the stack yet. I feel like that would be useful information to know before you are forced into this screen. Which again, as I remind you, once we have picked the person, we can't do anything. As soon as we don't... I'm sorry, I'm so pissed off about this, I'm having trouble explaining it properly. Once we're in the loot screen, we cannot leave the loot screen without being permanently done with the loot that we got from that mission. So whatever we take or keep, whatever we lose, happens, and once we've done that, the end, right? So I can't be like, hang on, let me hold off on the loot, let me pause on the loot, check Von Falkenstein, okay, he leveled to level 3, so I'm going to keep him and not take the new Tech Priest. I could do that if this game was well designed, but I can't because we're not there yet. I have to take or pick the loot, so I have to decide to take the Tech Priest, then I have to replace Von Falkenstein, who may or may not have leveled, and I'll never know. I will never know because I am replacing him. Now the experience goes in. Right there. Now you're right, Von Falkenstein, but you get why this bothers me. It's effectively the game telling you to stop making decisions in a strategy game. Alright, so first and foremost, so here's one of the downside of getting a level 3 as is. I don't get to choose your abilities. This is your spec. You are spec'd into Sacrificial Discharge, which makes you target a combat servitor at any range to deliver a blast that deals damage over Area 4 target is destroyed. So you can turn your servitor into a bomb. Now, I don't particularly like that ability and wouldn't want that. So, what does it cost to retrain? It costs 2 requisition and 30 days to retrain. In the interest of deference, one of the only things the game does right on UI is this screen right here. Now, there's still some flaws with it, but like the fact that I can't mouse over this stuff. So, I was trying to praise you, game. But the point is, we can see what their name is, their class, their level, their current HP, their current WP, and any modifiers to them, along with what they have equipped, at a glance. Now that's good. You know what's not good is that there's no mouse over. I should be able to mouse over this right here. I should be able to double check and say, hang on, is that the right gun I want for that? Without having to click and then select. And then see this up here. There should be a mouse over for that. That's true, Yura. That's true. It's funny you bring that up. I'm gonna share one other little tidbit. Now, feel free to tell me if I'm wrong here, Yura, because you actually work in mobile development. But I know a few people who work in mobile development. And we've chatted about game design, and one of the weirdest things is that in mobile game development, from their perspective, so again, very, very anecdotal, there's like no push for mouse over design. In terms of, because you can't do mouse over. You can't do mouse over on a phone. It doesn't work that way. Mouse over would be selecting on a phone. So most of the design is more about selecting something to see it rather than holding the cursor over it to see it. And you can see the fundamental difference in mentality there, because on a phone then you want to actually click on something in order to see something, whereas on a computer you could just glance at it, right? And that changes how you do interface design. Honestly, this game has been a fascinating insight into interface design that I haven't seen in recent memory. Good interface design is actually, at least for me, is hard to break down because most of the things that good interface design do are so intuitive and so logical that it just flows, right? You don't really think about it. That's kind of the point.
Target seed location identified.
Now, let's talk about UI while we're here. So here's the deal. Check this out. I can the way this ability works, which nothing tells me this, by the way. I learned this through trial and error. I can send out that Melta to a specific spot within this range, right? Within this movement range. Cool. Wherever they are, they will then, if someone shoots someone in range of them, they will also shoot that same person. Very useful. Several problems. What is in range? Nothing indicates that at all. So I actually don't know. I don't know what the range is of this guy. Problem number 2. I don't know line of sight either. So let's back off for a second. You notice how I mouse over this spot? It's kind of faint, but do you see those 2 lines coming out from where the cursor is to each of the bad guys, each of the enemy units? That's the line of sight indicator. That indicates if I move there, I can shoot both of them. But if I move the dude over there, notice what isn't there. Now, I know that's line of sight because I just did the reverse engineering of canceling out, moving my main dude, canceling out, and then switching back to this to determine that's in line of sight. So we're good. But nothing indicates that.
Unleash me.
Yeah, the range thing is honestly, like, not as intuitive as it should be either. What was it we were playing? Expeditions Viking, I think was it. So let's talk about the range indicator, right? So the range indicator is that little blue line thing. Okay, that's fine. But where's the second range and the third range? Each movement takes 1 AP, we have 3 AP. How can we see where we're going? Well, we can't, and here's the thing. The reason for that is because the people who designed this game have never heard of interface design. I'll shut up about interface design the moment I stop finding new things wrong with it. So, in Expeditions Vikings specifically, I'm pretty sure it's Expeditions Vikings, what they would do was the first area was colored X color, the second area was Z, and the third area was Y. So all of the range, your total movement range was visible at a glance. You didn't have to do this mouse over to figure out where I can move kind of thing. The first game concept, for those who never heard it before, is a particular developer's first foray into a particular style or type of game, which, specifically, kinda sucks, but not really. In other words, it's more amateur than it is actually bad. However, sometimes it can also just be bad. It depends.
Here.
Man. Can I can. Goodbye.
Reload required.
You know, it's really sad that most of my really good tactical moves so far in this game have all been around Paranoid and the frickin' Flamethrower.
Affirmative.
That's true. Sorry, that's fair. Evo has also killed many people with her Heavy Bolter. And so has Blade, actually. So, Heavy Bolter, Flamethrower. I'm sensing a trend. I look forward to those tutorials, let me tell you what. Bring it. Just I want tutorials.
They despise the warp spawn as much as we do.
Perhaps more so. But don't mistake the Eldar for allies. Why not? Because the Eldar are incredibly stupid. Is that true in every game they're in? Yes, the Eldar are literally mentally deficient. They should probably be put into a pen so they don't accidentally bonk themselves on the heads too many times from how often they're incapable of understanding what a window is. Oh, I see. Any questions? Seriously, Eldar are so stupid in all of these. I cannot tell you how many multiple stories I've seen where the Eldar are like, oh god, we've got this terrible thing that's happening. I'm gonna immediately go and kill Space Marines. Kill Space Marines, kill Space Marines. Now that I've lost to the Space Marines, I will tell you the truth of why I was killing you. It was to save this whole sector from insert threat here. Why didn't you tell us that then? You freaking... Okay, we're done. We're done. Imagine someone who's a game developer is like, I've got a game idea. It's chess. People say, well, I don't think that's going to sell very well. Hang on, why don't we do a couple of adjustments? Why don't we change things around here? Hang on, let's run this through the committee. We're going to do an analysis on how well we think this is going to sell. And after they've grinded it through all the various corporate side of things, they come out with checkers. Meanwhile, 2 of the developers leave to go make Go. DOS 2 doesn't have a great UI, but I think it is better than this. What is the servitor doing? Oh my god, look at this. Look at this! Are you watching this? Okay. Well, go blow up on people. Oh no, you can't, because now you're out of range, because you just wandered half the universe up here. Okay. Alright, so anyways, Von Falkenstein, could you
Ignore the wounds!
and could you one more time.
I strike true.
Thank you.
See them fall, brothers?
So now I need you to get up there and go melee that guy. Go on, do your job. His guts are exposed. Hit him in the guts. Right here. Right here. Center of mass. Center of mass. You can do it. Come on. Just right in the guts. There you go. There you go. Good job.
I commend your discovery, but the archenemy is alerted to your presence. You cannot remain. I task you, Cartha Vakir, to end this bloom's corruption. Cut loose this rot before it spreads to the wider Imperium.
As you command, Supreme Grand Master.
Preview of new units.
Warp's interference so that you may return to your ship. Now go, in the Emperor's name.
Teleportation lock acquired.
For the Emperor!
I'm thinking 2 negatives to story for that. 1 for presentation and 1 for content. Thoughts? Like honestly for the whole scene, but just like the presentation was bad. The fade to black combat was ridiculous in a game where you can literally script combat scenes in engine. But then like, the voice acting just isn't there. The dialogue is actually bad. Maybe I'm getting picky about dialogue since I've started writing more dialogue lately. But the dialogue's actually bad. And then it's like, hey, it's this dude. Remember him? He's here now. You win, because he's here. You are the chosen one. It does, Blade Travel. It does. And ARR voice acting isn't the worst, right? Like, I've heard worse voice acting. I've heard so much worse. As we discussed literally earlier today, there's like a black hole that you could go down into when it comes to worse. But it doesn't make this good. Like, I don't want to get into real life politics, which thankfully the Sokovian Accords have nothing to do with real life politics. Phew. But the Sokovian Accords, I am incredibly against the Sokovian Accords. Just really, 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 really against the Sokovian Accords. Now, the idea of state-sponsored superheroes, that actually makes perfect sense. Adding a legal framework within which superheroes can function, and adding an infrastructure to deal with the collateral of superheroes, makes perfect sense. The Sokovian Accords were written by an idiot who had just discovered the very concept of a pen 5 seconds before they started actually writing the accords.
Moving out.
Update. Boing.
This will be illuminating, Commander.
No, my point is the interface, Blade Travel, can actually not keep up with the amount of AP that the game allows you to have. That's my point. The interface is not well designed. I know. That's shocking for this game. Okay, I think it was faster to just kill these idiots. I'm going to read that one out loud. The Codex Toxicus has Wraithbone from Osaria's Infinity Circuit at its core. We will agitate the trapped Xenos souls within. It is their pain, seeped in Nurgle's corruption, that shall guide us to the very prime seed the craft world helped germinate.
It is the Xenos souls that suffer, not the subjects of the Emperor.
I have no sympathy for the well-being of dead Eldar, and neither should you. You got another one for me? Or I, move 5 inches? I was joking.
Though I am concerned with how rapidly I see this bloom is spreading.
I was actually about to comment on that, so let's pull this up for the highlight reel. Here's the thing. A video game that encourages blitzing and severely penalizes falling behind really does one thing. It enforces replay. Not rewards replay, not encourages replay, it enforces it. Because all of a sudden, you have to go back through the game multiple times because you failed. It's like Giju's was talking about several days ago. Giju's got 15 hours into the game and lost. Yeah, exactly. Save scum or restart. And sometimes, might be both. That... Okay, I don't know if you caught that. That knocked him through the ground, bugged him out through the ground, and out of bounds. Now, thankfully, instead of instantly killing him, like I was worried would have happened, he, came back up. But that's what happened there. So that's cool. Okay, you know what? Just I'm done playing around. Go away.
A sufficient demonstration, brothers? Feel yourselves. An excellent display, brothers.
So I mentioned earlier that these missions have been some of the better ones. In fact, if you'll notice in the gameplay positive territory, I have put the previous Dreadnought mission on as a potential positive. I should probably mention these missions have been substantially better designed than the other ones. Just in general. Better terrain layout, better usage of specific types of doodads and cover placement, better enemy unit placement, and you notice the Dreadnoughts even varied, which changes up the mission itself a bit, too.
We are glad to have you join our campaign, honored brother.
I hope you will find it.
Yeah, we are.
The Baleful Edict is a large ship, Commander, and yet your presence is always here.
Are you flirting with me, Inquisitor?
You sound as if you had doubts, Commander.
Oh, I didn't realize you thought that way.
All right.
Well, is there anything you'd like to do exactly?
Your own existence is shrouded in secrecy.
Oh, you want to know about me? Okay, yeah, sure. So my name's the Lore Runner. I'm actually the Lich King. I'm just kind of hanging out in 40K right now. This is my vacation place, you see.
You are forgiven. It is not in my nature to speak about myself.
Right, yeah. I kind of... I was hoping to learn more about you, but, you know, that's okay. That's okay, too. So what do you do for fun?
My mentor was stern, and so I followed his lead.
Right, but what do you do for fun?
I call in support when needed. That's why I'm here with you, after all.
Okay, you can call them friends. It's okay.
Yes. The Golden Throne cannot sustain the Emperor forever.
But... yeah, it's so obvious it's made by mobile devs, isn't it? Let me point out a very, very minor thing. I can't just click upgrade over and over. I have to specifically click the thing, then click upgrade. Nobody thought to program in smart interactions to speed up multiple updates or anything like that. Alright, what do we got? More HP, more resistance, more servitor slots. Obviously going with that. Yeah, this game is also extraordinarily grindy while also fighting a timer. I don't know if you caught that. We've cheated our way around the grind, because screw that noise. Pepsi Man has multiple speedruns, as it should. We're just gonna...
If you insist.
We're just gonna do this.
Blade God, protect me!
We're just gonna hole up. Pepsi Man! And that's the lore of Pepsi Man. Any questions? Okay, that guy is getting a little closer than I'd like him to be. And he's still coming. And he's still coming. Okay, it looks like he stopped. Look at the gun he's carrying. I mean, this game got an 8 out of 10, Yura. Probably because those people have never seen a good game before. Yeah, I'm willing to say that. Gloves have been off since yesterday. I'm sorry. The game only started getting good 20 hours in. That's not a good thing.
Your doom approaches.
Jesus Christ, stop approaching me, Doom. Holy crap! Can I go now?
I let you run wild for too long, Carver. You are a weed choking the growth of our glorious bloom.
Meanwhile, he's just like, yeah, I'm here now. Yeah, no kidding, Blade Deval. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, Oculus. I don't mean to say that other game reviewers are terrible, it's just that other game reviewers are terrible. No offense, other game reviewers. It's just that you're terrible. If you weren't terrible, I wouldn't say it. Obviously, there are exceptions. I can actually think of a couple individual exceptions. But by and large, game reviewers are terrible. What's my view on Vengeance? Dumb. Vengeance is stupid. It's also used a little bit too often as shorthand in fiction for motivation, because too often the motive is revenge, and that's it. I'm not talking about well-written works, by the way. Let's just get that out of the way really quick here. There's plenty of works that have used revenge as actually a decent amount of like thought has been put into it, work has been put into it. What I mean is writers are like, okay, I need to have a motive for my character. I've got it. They were hurt in the past. Revenge. And it's shorthand. Right? It's just shorthand for I have a reason to do something. And it's dumb. Any questions? Alright, so Diabetes, I want you... Oh no, we're going full tilt into this, aren't we? You know, this is a cool title screen, but you know what this title screen is? I'm going to put this in the highlight reel. You know what this title screen is? This title screen is Warhammer 40k in one animated video. No, think about it for a second. These two people are fighting each other forever. No, neither of them will ever win. There is no victory. There's no change to the status quo. They're just fighting each other forever. I will admit... No, I've seen that too, Shadow Machine. I will admit, as bizarre as this probably sounds, the eternal, unchanging nature of Warhammer 40k is probably the biggest reason I've never actually gotten into it, and never will. It's the exact same reason I'm not into comics anymore. That is to say, DC and Marvel. Because nothing ever changes. Status quo is eternal. And that's surface level for me. Interesting for a bit, and then I get bored of it, and I move on. So while there's some fun 40k games, and there are, I'm never going to actually get into the setting, because it just stays that way forever. I think I stopped really following Marvel pretty much right after the Age of Apocalypse, which sounds like a while ago, and that's because it freaking is. I kept following DC mostly because a friend of mine did. I don't remember the exact issue. It was after Hush, I know that. But there was this specific issue where they spent the last 3 issues building up to some big reveal, and then the big reveal happened, and I'm going to try and explain this as simply as I can, because I don't remember what the specific thing was, because that's the problem. The big reveal was like, at the end of the day, I'm going to have to make a terrible sacrifice. And then the next issue, oh god, once we reach the end of this day, I'm not sure if I can do what I have to do. And then they built it up and they built it up, and then what it was the terrible sacrifice was, I have to go pick up milk from the grocery store. And it was such a nothing burger. It was such a nothing thing that changed nothing, that meant nothing. It was just a complete deflated bubble. Just boop, that's it. It was a flan in a cupboard. It was nothing. And I remember reading that issue, and it was like, it wasn't the first problem, obviously, but it was the last. It was the final straw, in the more or less literal use of that metaphor, or that simile, or whatever the hell it's called. And that was the final time I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. And I stopped reading comics at that point. I was good. So, final story score? -9 to story. That is 0.33 negatives per hour. And that is a story positive ratio of 20%. Gameplay, -16. That's a 0.58 negatives per hour, and a gameplay ratio of 31.82%. Can I get a drum roll, please? Ladies and gentlemen, the final golden number for this game is -14.09. Now that probably doesn't sound too bad. And if it doesn't, that's because you don't know how this system works. That's pretty freaking bad. As I've said before, anything negative at all is bad. And negative is exponentially worse. Yeah, you have to work. Every negative point, you have to work much harder to get further down relative to up. So that's bad. That also means Alex wins. Congratulations, Alex. I'll put that towards Pokemon Arceus. Oh, we would have put the game down for Axia. No question. There's no way. Yeah, that puts this game as worse than Fallout 1 for a direct comparison. Let me open up the guessing game for editing. There we go. Let's see. Let's do a quick thing here. What do we got here? What do we got? So this puts this game down... Where is it? Where is it? Chaos Gate. So this is pretty close to Bard's Tale and Mega Man X6. It is not as... Excuse me. It is worse than Tor Trooper. It is not as bad as Just Cause 4 or Jedi Knight Or Drakengard, that's getting much worse. But this still puts this as worse than Bounty Hunter, Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Mega Man Legends, Albion, Quest for Glory 2, Dragon Quest 2, Quest for Glory 3, VTM Coteries of New York, Devil May Cry 1, Beyond Good and Evil, Parasite Eve, Legend of Lakaya, Force Unleashed, System Shock 1, Psychonauts 1, Tiny and Big. All of those are negative games that this has surpassed. It is the 12th worst game I've reviewed. Put its simplicity. And with that bombshell,